Whoops. Sorry about that, boys and girls. Kyle's time like, that is the longest introduction I've ever been on the show. Welcome to Lords of the Longbox, another creator spotlight. This week we have Kyle Starks. Say what's good to our live viewers.
What's going on, guys? It's good to be here. I like that intro, man. It feels like a little hype music before I get in here.
It is.
Pumps
It
me up a
is. You
little
know,
bit.
it's like I say, when people like to congregate, get them out a little hyped up, a little tailgating. For those who don't know, this is an interview with Kyle Starks. Starks, who's got a new comic coming out from Skybound called "I Hate This Place," and I don't want to bury the lead on the other one, but the other one is I fuck this place. Yeah, we can say that. Don't worry. This show is not for kids. So, and this comic is probably not for kids either. But before we get started, Kyle, how you doing? And why don't you give a brief introduction to the people of who you are and kind of your bio. You know, how you got started in comic books and writing and whatnot.
I'm Kyle Starks. I'm a cartoonist, which means I'm a writer artist, though more known for writing than my. Well, I don't know. It's all good. Maybe higher profile gigs as a writer. I worked on my first book was Sex Castle, which was nominated for an Eisner as option for a film. Then I did a book called Rock Candy Mountain for Image, which was nominated for an Eisner. It is Eisner nomination time, so I'm hoping I'm nominated again this year. I worked on Rick and Morty for 40 some odd issues. I actually at the time had made more Rick and Morty content than the Rick and Morty people had. I've done a bunch of stuff. Mars Attacks. I did a book called Kill Them All. I did a book called Dead of Winter. I did a book called Assassination with Erica Henderson. My most recent books were Six Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton from Skybound, which came out in January in trade. It's very good, very funny. And a book called Old Head from Image, which is a horror comedy of sorts. I make comic books, man. I've been doing it for not that long. Rock Candy Mountain came out in 2017. I put on an old shirt I had from a show. I was like, man, that's only 5 years ago. It seems like.
Which comic did you say is getting optioned for a movie?
I've actually optioned pretty much everything. I've been real lucky. Kill Them All was optioned by Paramount. Sex Castle was was optioned by the Workaholics. There's lots of interest. I've been very fortunate. We're just waiting for something to happen on any of these projects. That's that game. That game is everything gets optioned. Anything happens gets optioned. Then you just hope something happens. But that's my
so
filmography. What is it? Bibliography.
Yeah, our audience are people who love to collect comics, flip comics, and speculate in comics. So if they hear Kill Them All is getting optioned by Paramount, they are going to go out and seek Kill Them All. So I tell you, go seek out Kill Them All. Who were some of your influences as a writing comic books, I guess specifically, when you started doing this gig?
Yeah, I've up to now, I've primarily done humor, and there's not a lot of that. So, I always say like my big comic, like sort of Mount Rushmore in terms of inspiration. And as a cartoonist, writing is just an extension of being a cartoonist. Obviously, you just you do have to have as much work. And but my big four are Kirby, Urasawa. There's a Swedish artist named Jason who sort of broke me into comics because I saw there's different ways to make comics at the time. And Evan Dorkin, I think Evan Dorkin is sort of the comedy goat. But when I was a kid, when I was a young person, I worked at a comic book store that also did that had used books and did movie rentals, and we buy and sold music. It had baseball cards. It had pornography. I got to consume everything. If I wanted to read a book, I got to read it. If I wanted to see a movie, I got to see it. So like I've always been consuming. Even now, someone's the other day, like, what do you watch on TV? I'm like, I watch everything. Just because it's always on, and it's like I like to see what people like. So my influences are so many things because I'm not trying to do things like other people do in a lot of ways, So it's all these various influences. Like I love Vonnegut, but like I also love, I loved Reacher, right? Like so, I love Schwarzenegger, but I also, I like the Marx Brothers. So all these things sort of come together.
Exactly.
So I can't. It's tough for me to be like what's that one inspiration? There's so many things, but when I'm making a comic, when I'm actually cartooning, I'd say those four are like those are the puzzle pieces that sort of come together for me.
I'm so blown away that your comic shop sold comics, video, pornography, and everything else. That's wild.
It was completely wild. And like, so like there's guys who work there. It's like, I'm like me and my brother were like comic guys, right? But then there was the guys who worked there who were just music guys. Like they just want to get the LPs. They just want to get, so it's like all these sort of different groups. So you're also like, like I'm with movie rentals in the 90s. So that's the number one thing, right? But it's also like you're working next to a guy who's there, who's just trying to get his hand on as much like historical fiction as he could. So it's like such an interesting group of people to be around. So it was a real melting pot of people. It's just a real interesting time in my life. And for sure, like I said, I had access to everything. Like if it's a video,
that's like my perfect story, because I collect comic books and I also am collect vinyl. So I go digging for like old records, trying to find like everything from like Parliament Funkadelic to Edith Piaf to like Billie Holiday to everything in between. It's like it's one of the it's digging in crates is what people do when they go into those dusty old record stores and they're trying to find that cool LP for breakbeats, because they used to DJ, and so that was part of the whole thing of digging in crates, was trying to find breakbeats, and records.
You just love to do this. This is like your favorite thing.
It's the same thing with records and comic books, right? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah. Because nowadays people could go digging in long boxes, and I tell, people say, you know what? That term was coined with record collectors a long time ago when they used to go digging in crates, back when they used to be milk crates that you used to put records in. So you have a comic coming out in May 22nd.
Two titles.
Yeah. I hate this place and fuck this place. I'm assuming this is cover A and cover B.
I'm not sure which one's which. But yes.
Yeah. FOC is April 25th. So as I read the comic, and I can see where the titles come from the two main characters, right? One is more like, I hate this place, and the other person is just like, no, fuck this place, I'm blowing it up with a shotgun. That's what I took from it.
So I really pushed for the book to be called Fuck This Place. I really fought for it. That's the title I pitched it as. That's the title I wanted them to use. Because if I was in the situation, if I was in any horror movie, much less sort of situation my character in, that's what I would say. I'd be like, fuck this place. It's time to go, right?
I'm out. Yeah, I'm out. Fuck this place, yeah.
But I guess there was a bit of naivety on my part and some thoughtlessness. Some of the retailers did not care for that, and I think that's completely understandable. An Image suggested that we offer an alternative. I didn't even think about having profanity, displayed on a. I didn't even think about it. I just thought this is the title. It was engaging. It was provocative. It would put eyes on the book, and it really set a tone. That's what I want. I want people they want to hate this place. They want to hate being there.
Immediately I thought of Scotty Young and Fuck Fairyland, right?
We're doing like the Image universe expanded I hate /fuck universe. I think I'd heard about that, but I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish when we had the discussion of doing an alternate title, someone would have said something. But I love Scotty. He's a great human being, and I'm okay being, I guess, following in his his trail.
Yeah.
So.
I actually have the book. I have the book Fuck Fairyland. And you're right. When I saw the title, I go, I gotta have this. So I went and I bought it. But before we get into what the comic is about and everything, let's take a look at a trailer for I Hate This Place. Yo, whoever at Skybound who cuts together these trailers does a fantastic job.
I get, it's so good. I get excited when I see it. They did such a great job.
So I read issue 1, and I not to can't give any spoilers away, but I'm not a big horror guy, but I dug this because you don't really know what's going on in issue at the end of issue number 1. It has a Stranger Things vibe, Gideon Falls vibe. In a nutshell, how would you explain this comic?
Yeah, so yeah, I could do it. I wrote it. I can explain it okay, I think. Hopefully I explain it in a way that's very thrilling and exciting also. Basically the story is this nice young couple inherit the worst place on earth. It's the paranormal nexus, though it's not there's more going on, but it's basically there's monsters, there's ghosts, there's hauntings, there's lights in the sky, there's demonic entities or dark entities in the woods. Basically I made Rutherford Ranch, which is this terrible, awful place, is sort of like a playground for horror tropes, where I'm going to be able to go through a lot of different things. There's a slasher killer element that's in issue 1 that's going to come back around. So it's basically like the most haunted paranormal place on Earth. They're trapped there for reasons that are explained at the end of the book. Their aunt leaves them a videotape that gives them rules to survive the ranch because they live there for a long time, and apparently you can do it if you're very safe. And that's the gist. That's I hate this place. It's these two very nice, loving people who thought they were finding a home or finding a new a path to the life that they wanted to have. Instead, they are trapped in just a terrible, awful, super dangerous place.
Yeah, so there's as I was reading it, it was funny to me how you threw in the facts of life in there. As when they were going through the video library, they're like, "We got the facts of life full library here," and then they pass by a tape that says like "Watch Me," reminiscent of I guess the Ringu films where you watch this DVD and then watch this video and then you'll die in like 3 days. But it's not that. It's more of a warning and more of an inheritance. But at the very beginning of the comic, it goes. I thought it was going in one direction and it goes in another. So I mean, I try not to spoil it, but
there's not spoilers. There's monsters and bad guys.
Yeah. So at one point they openly say, one is like, in the UFO conspiracies, but then there's also supernatural elements to it. What was your influence for this comic? Cause it's pretty unique. I don't know if I've read anything like this before.
In terms of the ranch itself?
The comic.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was inspiration taken from this place in Utah called Skinwalker Ranch.
I heard of Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah,
sure. So I had never heard of Skinwalker Ranch until a few years ago, and Skinwalker Ranch has there's Native American element. It's got all this crazy stuff, but I'd never heard or read, and like I said, I think I'm pretty well read, and I consume a lot of media of a setting that had multiple sort of supernatural elements to it, right? And so hearing about this, I was like, man, this is so interesting to me because of what potentially you can do and what story you can set there, which is really the most important thing to me is what the story is rather than the trappings of it. So that was definitely an inspiration. I was like, man, wouldn't this be an interesting setting? This place that has monsters and ghosts and UFOs and, like dark entities like Stephen King loves to do. And I was telling Robert Kirkman at New York Comic Con, I wasn't telling him, I was like, isn't this an interesting idea? Like, don't you think this would be an interesting setting? And he's like, yeah, we should do it. Let's do it. And I'm like, no, I'm not pitching anything. I'm just asking you whether or not this is like theoretically a good idea or not. Right. And obviously he thought it was a great idea. So I worked out the story for it. But that was for sure the inspiration. I mean, I love horror, man. I've always done comedy. I'm known as a comedy guy, but I love horror. They're real similar beasts in regards to how they work. They both require sort of pacing and tone. They need setup for payoffs. And if you don't do those things, it won't be scary and it won't be funny. They're two things I really like. And I think both are things that you can sort of like just ingest without a lot of thought process, which is nice. But if there is thought process, it elevates them so much. So it's always an enjoyable experience. So I mean, I'm a horror guy and I thought I had a good idea and they were like, don't do comedy. So it's a little charming. I like to think. There's some humor stuff in there, but it's just character building for the most part. I
think comedy and horror go hand in hand. I mean, if you think of Sam Raimi, all of his horror movies have some comedic levels to it. Albeit goofy or not. Even Drag Me to Hell, which was a pretty serious PG-13, but it was scary. But it had its funny moments. Obviously, everybody knows The Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. Well, Army of Darkness really kind of took the comedy to a whole new level. But this is. Right now, I'm at pre-code horror, especially like EC books, are making a resurgence right now. People are hunting out these pre-code horror books. I think it's a perfect time for this book to land. I mean, horror in general, I think, is a perfect time.
I think it's a really exciting time in comics. I've been saying this a lot as I've been promoting the book. It's horror is doing so well, and most of it's Tinian, who's brilliant.
Yes,
but horror is doing so well, and as someone who has not worked in sort of the big two supermarket. It's great to see this genre interest expand in a profitable way, in a way that people are actually engaging with. So I love horror. I hope the timing's right. I hope I just want people to read the book. That's my number one priority. But I think people are interested in trying horror right now, and that's thrilling. So maybe next will be we'll be doing westerns. We'll have a nice western run.
Why not? A Western horror.
Why not?
I mean,
yeah.
This is the era of long title comic titles too. If you think of Something Is Killing Your Children, The End of the Lake, and all these other long titles.
Me, in the dark.
Yeah.
I kind of got in there. 3 words is long. I think that might count.
Yeah,
because normally I hate this place. I did it.
Well, there's also that book Ha. I think that had the killer clown on it, which is 1 word. So I mean, there's also those. How many issues is this? Have you already panned out? Have you already mapped out your issues and your story arc? And is it a miniseries? Is it going to be ongoing, or is it? Where are you going with this?
It's an ongoing for whatever that means in 2022. I have a number that I'd like to reach that I think is pretty modest. I'd like to do 15 issues. I could do this book for a long time. I'd like to do this book for a long time. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the setting. I enjoy the possibilities. It gives me a lot as a creative person to work with. But sales are sales. That's what decides everything. So for me to say it's an ongoing, which it is, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Hopefully, let's go 1520. I'd love 1520 people.
FOC is April 25th. But you can buy them once May 22nd. And I want you to go on your LCS and say, hey, do you have fuck this place? I just want you to utter those words out of your mouth. Yeah. But if you can't, you can say, I hate this place. And now, how was your
I imagine if you want that dirty title, you're going to have to pre-order it. Unless your retailer is super cool, like they're super cool, you probably need to pre-order. That's where we're really pushing FOC, not just Skybound. Like I am, because I pitched that book as fuck this place, and that's the one I'd like to sell. So, but if you want it, you're gonna have to. I'm almost certain you'd have to pre-order it.
Yeah. So FOC is April 25th. And did you do any of the art on this, or was it just your collaborator that did all the art on this?
Artyom. This is kind of Artyom's first major work. He did an anthology thing for Ice Cream Man. We found him. We sought out an artist. He's a really good illustrator. Lee Lawton, who's the colorist, he did Deadly Class and he does The Good Asian now. He's incredible.
I love those two guys. That's a great story. Yeah,
those two guys are clicking in a way. I think the visuals are really interesting. It looks different for a horror book. It feels dissimilar, and I think that's great because horror, if it feels different, it makes you on edge a little bit. Artyom does a really good job in issue 1. His work everyone's going to say this, but he's a new artist, and you can see in issue 2 he gets his feet underneath him, and in issue 3 he has his feet underneath him, and he's rolling. So I think number 1 looks incredible. Number 2 looks whatever higher than incredible is.
Is this his first work in comic books, or?
I think he's done some self-publishing, and I think he's done some stuff in his home country, but it's minor. English is not Artyom's first language. We do not interact outside of emails. So I know he's a younger guy. I believe he's in Russia.
Okay.
He's a younger guy. But I know he's done stuff, but I don't think he's done a lot. So this is like if John Moisen, who's the editor on the book, says all the time, he's like, this is gonna be the book where people discovered Artyom, and you're gonna be like, I wish we were there first, because he's gonna break out from this book. He's like, I think people are gonna ask us when Artyom will be available based on the quality of work that he does. And I think it's probably true, but he's a co-creator. He's stuck with me. So You
Yeah.
can't go anywhere.
So Skybound was nice enough to send me a preview copy of #1, and I read it, and I was like, "This is really weird," and I dig it. I dig weird shit, and some of the art is you'd be like, "Dude, oh my god, somebody's head just exploded." It's just like, it's pretty graphic. Obviously, it's not for kids, but you know what? Comic books is a medium for all, and right now, I mean, this is I hate this place and fuck this place. I think this will jump off the shelves when people see this. I know specifically. I know there's a subset of collectors that will get it just because it says "fuck" on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Why
and
not?
hopefully they stick around and get multiple stories on this. Outside of your comic, what else are you reading right now as far as comic books?
Man, that's tough. Right now, I'm so busy. I'm not doing anything. I can't tell you, like, the things that I've enjoyed recently. Probably the two books I enjoyed the most recently were Brubaker's Pulp, which is just carryover from last year. And I just read a French comic called Grand Odalisque, which is it's kind of an action comedy. It's a heist on the Louvre. There are motorcycles. It is like the best example I've seen of someone doing like an action light comedy in a comic. And that's someone who I do only action comedies. Like I think it is incredible. I always shout out, like Xander Cannon's Kaiju Max. I think it's one of the best books on the shelf, and it's going to be ending soon that no one talks about. I can't think what else am I reading. I'm trying to read more as I look over. Like I have something on my desk.
I have so much stuff. It's like boxes and boxes full of stuff. I interviewed Stephanie Phillips before. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She did the Karna series, Karna from Heavy Metal. Remember the silver-haired vixen? And she did a book called The Butcher of Paris, which is a true life story about a serial killer during World War II, where both the Nazis and the Allied forces were looking for.
Someone just told me about that book. Like literally, like just a couple days ago, they told me about it. So I'm gonna seek it out. There's something like I really want to read what Mark Russell is doing now because I haven't seen any of it that he's doing at Ahoy. I'm trying to. It's like I didn't read for so long just because it's just like I'm not sure how much other baseball games like baseball players are watching, right? Like it's really hard you spend your time, and also like you don't really want to be influenced. You don't want outside influences. But I feel like, man, I didn't read comics for a while, and I'm really trying to get back into it. So I'm hitting Hoopla. I don't know if you guys know the Hoopla. It's like a library app. You can read Kyle Starks' books on there. But like I love it because like my iPad. I'm always when I'm traveling, I can read that way. So I'm trying to read more, but I just can't think of something that blew me away recently.
Well, I think now is the time. I mean, I didn't even say they're independent publishers, but I meant, like Skybound is so big now. Like, Image is so big. You can call them almost like the big, three now. But they, put out. Here's a link to Kyle's website, KyleStarks.com. So, what can we expect in issue #2? Because now I want to read issue #2 after I read issue #1. Issue #1 ends on somewhat of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, so I mean, all issue ones are very expository. I feel like I take exposition can be so boring. I try to figure out how to do it in a way that's interesting, and I think I really did that in issue 1. Every creator is going to say this, and it's hyperbole, but I'm telling you, it's not. From this issue, it's just going to escalate. Things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. So like, for this, sort of the 3 rules were: don't let the ghost touch you, never go in the woods, and if you see the horn man, run. So in the first issue, you see there's an experience with the ghost. In the second issue, there's more ghosts. In issue 3, they're going to go into the woods. But it's escalating. Everything's going to escalate. And along this crazy adventure of these people just trying to figure out how they can survive or what they can do to maybe fix, to make it safer. Like maybe there's some resolution. They're trying to figure this out. Things just get worse and worse and worse. And I really hope people are there for the ride because I think it's a good one. I really hope people question why it's the way it is because I think I'm considering this book very sort of in the vein of Lost, where part of the story is, why is this the most haunted place on Earth? Why is it the most paranormal place? And so that's like in that long arc I'm hoping to do is like there's that back end payoff will be huge, right? Like huge.
Yeah, these are the vibes that I got from it, and people can take this for what it is. I got X-Files, Fringe, Cabin in the Woods, and Sam Raimi. those are
I'll
you know
take
what I'm
it.
saying? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's it. Let's go.
Fringe was one of my favorite TV shows ever, and it just ended too soon. And it was all those things like, is it sci-fi? Is it horror? Because you talk about there's the man in the woods with the horns, but then they also they hint that there's UFOs, so you kind of like, what is this? It's almost like you said, like Lost, X-Files. Those type of TV shows. I guess the only thing that really right now is probably like Stranger Things is probably the only equivalent. That, or if you ever seen if you need something to watch on Netflix, there's a Korean show called Hellbound, which is absolutely incredible. So basically, these creatures come and an angel comes and tells you have X amount of days to live, and then on that day that you die, these demons come and take you to hell.
Okay.
And it's Korean, and it came on Netflix. Kind of went under the radar because everybody was hooked on a Squid Game. But check out Hellbound. That is an incredible. Hopefully they do season 2 of Hellbound, because that is some really trippy shit if you ever think about it. But so make sure you guys hit up your LCS, man. Ask for "I hate this place" or "fuck this place." I just want to say, I just like saying fuck. It's a liberating word, really. It is.
Yeah.
It can be used as a verb. It can be used as a noun. It can be used as all kinds of stuff. And so it comes out in May. Are we looking at a monthly schedule?
Oh yeah.
All right. So make sure you guys support.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I say that fingers crossed, right? I mean, I hope so.
Yeah. If your LCS has a lot of orders, they'll be ordering order 2, issue 2. Are any variant covers are being discussed?
I know that I just asked the editor about that, because I know we had someone lined up for number 1. Maybe they got pushed back to number 2 because I haven't seen the announcement for it. But I do know with all the paper shortages that Image is pulling back on variant covers. So yeah. I don't know. I already have 2 variant covers, I guess, because there's the 2 different titles that they're going to continue to do. But
I'll send you my address so you can send me the.
Yeah. I know for certain there's some retailer variants out there, but that's not quite the same thing. So
yeah, I'll make sure I might hit up my LCS on Wednesday and ask them to order, because normally they order. Where are you located?
Indiana.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in Orange County, California. So they order a lot of small indie publisher books, and smaller runs, horror titles, everything. So, unfortunately not all, LCSs are the same, where, they just order it from the big 2. And, a lot of times I speak to my friends and they're like, look at this cool book I just got to go. I didn't even have it at my shop, and it's really, you guys need to support creators, and you need to go to your LCS and say, yo, I want this book. And in ending, Kyle, what can you promise people if they order this book and read it?
I mean, I think I can sincerely offer people a good time. I think people are going to really enjoy this book. I think whether you're a horror fan or not, you'll have a good time with this book. And that's what we're pushing. We're pushing a great time. There you go.
Yeah. I'm not a big horror. I'm like, I'm a superhero, supernatural, cosmic kind of, like love Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, things of that nature. It's on my back wall. But I really dug this because, I go in with no expectations, and I came out like, wow, that was really crazy stuff I just saw right now. So hey,
thanks,
FOC
man.
is April 25th. Kyle Starks is the man. So if you want to read more, make sure you hit up your comic shop for FOC and tell them you want this book. Any last words, Kyle?
Thanks for having me on, man. You guys can follow me on all social media. I'm at the Kyle Starks. You said KyleStarks.com. I got other books. I make good books. Check out my books, and then read more books. Read all the books.
Read them all. Buy them all.
Yeah,
support support all comic books and all medium. Comics are blowing up right now. So if you got DC, Marvel, get Indie, get Skybound, and get Fuck This Place. God, it's so liberating just saying that. All right, boys and girls. For Kyle Starks, this is TiVo. I will see you tomorrow on the Cover Price Top 10 list. Until next time, boys and girls, keep digging in them long boxes. Peace out.
greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
Now that's a name I've not heard.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright. In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
What the heck is the deal? I'm the best there is.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
What's in the box?